Alright, now let's look at the next problem here. We are asked to completely factor 4x squared plus 28x minus 15. Now the first thing I notice here is that we have a number multiplying the x squared. That means that we cannot use the shortcut. So we're going to have to do it the long way. We're going to have to factor this in the same way that we factored these two. Okay. So the first step, just like on these last problems here, was to multiply the first number and the last number. 4 times negative 15 is negative 60. Now let's make a list of all of the factor pairs of negative 60. 1, negative 60, negative 1, positive 60, 2, negative 30, negative 2, positive 30, 3, 3 and negative 20, negative 3 and positive 20. How about 4? 4 and negative 15, negative 4 and positive 15, etc. So we could keep on going with this, but remember, the point of making this list of factor pairs is to find the factor pair that adds up to the middle number here, 28. And it looks like we've already found it, right here. Negative 2 plus 30 equals positive 28. So we've found our magic pair of numbers. Okay? Now, with the negative 2 and the 30, this is what we're going to do with it. We're going to write out the original expression, 4x squared minus 15, except we're going to split the 28x into negative 2x plus 30x. Okay? And then once we do this, we need to focus on the first two numbers here, and then factor out the GCF of these. So the GCF of 4x squared and negative 2x looks to be 2x. And what's left over? Let's see, 2x minus 1, right? Now, let's focus on the last two numbers here. What's the GCF of 30x and negative 15? Well, it looks to be positive 15, right? Plus 15 times 2x minus 1 again. Notice we have the 2x minus 1 in two places, so we can factor that out, 2x minus 1. And what's left over? 2x plus 15. Okay, that is all there is to this. 2x minus 1 times 2x plus 15. Alright, let's look at the next one. Factor 6x cubed minus 9x squared minus 14x plus 21. Now, this has 4 terms now. We would call this a cubic trinomial of 4 terms. This looks like it would be even more difficult than these. However, it's actually easier because it's already split up into 4 terms. So we can honestly start right here, right? Watch this. In order to factor this, focus on the first 2 terms, 6x cubed and negative 9x squared, and then factor out the GCF of the first 2 terms. Well, let's see. It looks like the 6 and the 9 both have a 3 in common, and it looks like the biggest x factor we can take out is x squared, right? So 3x squared appears to be the GCF. What's left over when we take out a 3x squared? Well, 2x and then minus 3, right? So that's the GCF of the first 2 terms, and this is what's left over after we factor out the GCF. Now let's look at the second 2 terms. Here, I know that we're going to need to have 2x minus 3. I know that that needs to be one of the factors of the last 2 terms here in order for me to be able to factor out the common binomial here. So what do I need to multiply by 2x minus 3 in order to get back the original? Let's see, negative 7, right? Negative 7? Negative 7 times 2x is negative 14x, and negative 7 times negative 3 is positive 21. Okay? So I did this a little bit different than I did this. The reason is because I anticipated that I would need to have a negative sign out here. And it's kind of weird to think about factoring out a negative number. But as long as it works, you can do it however you want. And so here, again, the final step is just 2x minus 3 times 3x squared minus 7. Okay? So this was actually easier than the last problem, in my opinion, just because there were fewer steps. All right, let's look at the last one here. Factor out the GCF from the polynomial below. 8y to the 4th power plus 12y cubed minus 32y squared. I just wrote it out again because it's hard to see. Okay, so we need to factor out the GCF from the polynomial. Now, in order to factor out the GCF, all we need to do is identify what the GCF is, and then put the leftovers inside of parentheses. Right? I know that there's going to be a plus sign here and a minus sign here. Now, what is the GCF of the three terms? Let's see. Let's look at the y's first of all. What is the biggest y factor that I can take out of all three? Well, it looks like the biggest one I can take out is a y squared, right? Because y squared is common to all of these. So y squared. What about the numbers? Let's see, there's an 8 here. 8 and 12 have a 4 in common, and 4 is also in common with the negative 32. So let's try factoring out 4y squared and see what that does for us. Okay. Now, I'm asking myself, 4y squared times what will give back 8y to the 4th? Well, 2y squared, right? 4y squared times 2y squared is 8y to the 4th. Okay, so that's what's inside here. Now, let's ask that same question again. 4y squared times what gives back 12y cubed? Well, 3y, right? Now, let's ask the question one more time. 4y squared times what gives back negative 32y squared? Well, 4 times 8, right? So 8, yeah, just 8. 4y squared times a negative 8 equals negative 32y squared. Okay? So it looks like this is the factored form. Okay? So that's all there is to it, to this objective. This is a pretty difficult objective. I understand that, 110%. But it's something that you can get easily with some practice. Okay? So hopefully now you are ready to retake this objective.